Hello and welcome back to Minecraft Steampunk Mod Pack Episode 9. This is Tyrant speaking, both your player and your presenter. I make some success at first, but I die many times in this episode. And remember, if you enjoy, like, subscribe, check out the Discord, consider looking at the Ko-Fi, as these episodes and streams are powered by viewers like you. Thank you for being here, and enjoy the episode. At the start here, I'm just building a nice little fortress around the Nether portal, trying to make sure it's closed in and safe. I don't know how dangerous this area is. I find out how horribly dangerous it is for me later being on hard mode with one of the mods that we have. Of course, not permadeath hard mode. And end up needing to expand this out quite a ways because there's a mob that spawns in the biome that we're in that can hit through 1 block thick walls and sometimes 2 block thick walls. I believe I need to actually make the ceiling thicker as well. For the most part, there's just a lot of exploration here. We need to actually get Hogland skin armor. I run around gathering random ores here, and that's most of what you miss in a few deaths. When I die, I drop a soul crystal. That is one of my hearts. I need to go back and actually get that back, as well as my items in a lot of cases. And that is some of the horrific events that we will be witnessing here going forwards. At least a little bit, because some of it does get cut out here and there. The main reason why we haven't jumped yet is because you're about to see someone in the background here that followed us through the portal that I didn't realize came through the portal with us. And it just excites me that he's here with us, even for a short amount of time. He, she, they. I don't know what the goblins are. Did you hear him? You see him on the left side? Look at that wonderful little being that followed us. Sadly, sometimes hostile mobs aren't my worst enemy. I see the skeleton, death number 1, try to decide to kill it, and fall to my death. We do recover this one quite quickly. I quickly start to see that I'm being swarmed here after trying to kill this one. Try to fill my ender chest to save stuff in death number 2. After fighting through the nether for a while here, and attempting to help Solar, we end up with death number 3 after being set on fire, which doesn't go out with the 7 curses. I sadly still have not learned my lesson with death number 4 here. I'm doing fine fighting now, but I see a shiny with a name. I wanted to know what it was. Run into a hellhound, all kinds of problems here. My health gets low, I don't have time to get out, and I die. I quickly notice something crawling on the ceiling. Death number 5. With me and Solar adventuring together here, everything seemed fine for a moment. This didn't seem hostile until it was. We put up a valiant fight against this, and we get very close to killing it if one of us doesn't kill it. But this ends up being death number 6 for me, as you'll see in a moment, but we lasted quite a while against it. But too many enemies came in from elsewhere. We couldn't focus on just the boss. We got absolutely swarmed. It took 5 deaths for me to temporarily learn my lesson and to go home. We've just gotten my gear. We've gotten everything back. We are going to head back home here in a second and take a different approach, which we needed to stick with long term. But as you saw, I don't have my Hogland armor yet. We're not set up for the Nether completely. We're having to use our lamps to stay cool. And we have an entire change of plans here, and we're discussing what to do here, whether we want to try to continue exploring and dying, or whether or not we want to go home and try something different. And in general, we decide to go home. And what I specifically aimed for here was to dig down. So I mentioned here that I'm going to have to rebuild the outside of this. It needs to be too thick. I need to cover the back of it and make sure drop bears don't get in or hit us through it. Or anything else nice you can get in. I did also expand the inside out. But we finally started taking down and actually doing what we should have been doing from the get-go. This is the safest way to actually explore in the Nether, whether you have the 7 curses or not from an let me stutter for a second on the video for you. Enigmatic legacy. I didn't say it correctly, but we'll stick with it. But the goal here is to dig down, have a mine shaft, dig around to where we can see different structures that we need to actually go to. And it works wonderfully, but I do eventually end up deciding to try to explore in the overworld again. But that doesn't happen too often, I don't believe, from this point forwards. We'll see in future videos. I don't want to actually spoil too much for you. This one is already going to end up being a much shorter than average one. I believe we still have a decent amount of time to actually go on this, but for the most part, we just mine fours, see what we can find. Nearly overheat as we go through here. Ogland armor helps a lot with that. We don't get that for quite a while. And normally I like to show you my progress with mining and digging. I like to show you the actual good things that I am working on moving forwards. But we are going to jump through a decent amount of the mining here, just because we have not quite gotten to the important part here, where right now we are mining at a decently effective level, but you'll notice something on our mini-map. We can't see the overworld. We actually need to be a little bit higher to see the overworld. And it's important to be able to see the overworld because my entire purpose for being in the Nether at this point is to get blaze burners. I need to find another fortress. There are so many different kinds of dungeons that we can encounter and that we do encounter, and it becomes such a mess later that honestly it takes a long time for me to get those blaze burners and for me to even get to using them for what I needed them for to begin with. Well, we do eventually get there, and hopefully we'll get there relatively quickly within the amount of episodes that we have left. But we do have quite a few live streams to work through. And I will keep these as short as possible for you. So we'll have a cut once this staircase is put down. If I can place stairs facing the correct orientation. Come on, you can do it. I believe. Come on. You're holding that lamp. We eventually got what we needed to refill the lamps, but I actually haven't needed to use a lamp for a long time. When you're deep enough, you stay cool for the most part, as long as you're not near lava. You're standing in front of me for the staircase. We're almost done. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, we went home for some reason. There's nothing important here other than restocking, so I will be back when we have something important coming. And or whether or not this is the last of what we're doing. We'll see what happens. Sadly, me being rewatching these with you, I don't always know what happens. And here we are. We don't make much more progress, but I do figure out what Y level I need to be at to see the surface. And that is a major step forwards. We get a little bit more mining and we run into a little bit of lava, but we need to be a Y24 to actually be able to see surface level. There's not a whole lot to be seen after this point. We're mainly just looking for a fortress. We find a few dungeons. We find a calamity boss, which I might actually keep us here long enough to get up to, just so I can show it to you. They're up on the right side in the middle of a lava lake, but you will see them in future episodes. They do not despawn. We're just about to them. And they are what I thought was a dungeon structure at first, because I didn't see them move for the longest time, but we see them move in future episodes. Whether or not we get that clip in, we'll actually see, but definitely during live streams, we see them move back and forth a little bit. I stopped there in a stupor. And I don't have a reason to keep this going for 10 minutes plus. I don't mind having a short episode, even if it's just a montage of my tests. I don't need to hit the 10-minute mark to have mid-roll ads, because I am entirely powered by you, the viewer, through Ko-Fi. So if you've stuck around this long, just remember, once again, like the plug at the start of the video, like, subscribe, consider checking out the Discord and Ko-Fi. We would love to have you around, even passingly. I know everybody doesn't stick around, and I'm not always going to be doing just Minecraft content, but I'm glad to have you here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'm gonna go ahead and let the video end here, and thank you for being here, and goodbye. At the number 7, by burning to death in lava, I rage quit.